Howdy y'all, this is Jordan Smith coming to you live from the Smith Family Band recording studio. It's not really a studio, it's a shed, but I'm having to do a bunch of video work at the house since everybody's in quarantine and lockdown, and so I was going to be shooting videos in this shed at our house. The problem is we have a road back over here, and every time a car goes by, you hear it go, you probably hear it on the microphone in a second. Not now. Of course, it's completely quiet when I try to film it. But anyway, every time that a car goes by, you can completely hear it. So we are going to do a mild soundproofing of this studio. Now, it's not going to be a soundproof studio that you could put in a rock and roll band and not disturb your neighbors. That takes a whole lot of mass and a whole lot of different products to make this work. So here's the goals. One, we want this to be quiet enough that I can record without being disturbed by the road noise back behind our back fence or by kids outside playing. Two, I want it to be comfortable in here. Right now we've got a little window unit that barely puts out any cool air at all, and it is loud. So there's no way that I can shoot and have the air conditioner going at the same time. And because this place is so poorly insulated, it's a shed. It's so poorly insulated that it gets really hot back here. So I need to thermally control it as well as acoustically control it. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'll show you in several videos. I don't know how many they're going to be, but I'm going to show you in several videos how we're going to tackle this. We are going to decouple the room inside, so we're going to build a room within a room. We're going to absorb the sound. We're going to add mass, and then we're also going to dampen the sound, or damp the sound as well. You got to get that right. Dampen is to wet with water. Damp is to kill sound vibration by burning it into heat. So stay tuned. This video is going to be specifically about the exterior and making a 1/2 of a soundproof window. We're going to be putting a window on the outside, and then we're going to be completely decoupling the window on the inside. So we have 2 panes of glass that are completely decoupled from each other, and it's going to be really cool. So we're going to talk about that in this one. We'll be talking about how to isolate the floor. In another one, we're going to be talking about how to spray foam the exterior. In another one, we're going to be talking about how to put a DIY air conditioner in another one. And I'm sure there will be a final walkthrough video. So what is that, 5 videos? Something like 5 videos while we're all in quarantine about how we are soundproofing this little shed. Now, keep in mind, when you're commenting below, and please feel free to comment below real time, let me know what you would do differently, because I would like to have all of your expertise. I always learn way more in these videos than I ever put out there. So if you have great ideas, comment below with them. Secondly, keep in mind on those comments, this is a shed, so I can't go just completely crazy and do like a CMU exterior and then a big air gap and another heavy lead-lined gypsum wall like we do in movie theaters maybe. This is a budget and time conscious project. So you'll be seeing me put in some products that are a little bit more expensive than what a really cheap spec house would be, but you're not going to see me using just super expensive products. I'm trying to get the most bang for my buck here. It's going to be a little bit expensive, but keep this in mind too. This is my own money. I am spending my money making this shed into a studio. This isn't sponsored. The products that you see here, I'm going to be using all of my favorite products. I'm using LP Smart Side for the exterior. I'm using Tight Bond for the glue. I'm using Pass Load for the nailers. But again, none of these guys have put a dime into this build. It's all my own money and the products that I like using. So if you see me using these products in the future and they're sponsored, well, that's just because I did a good job on this one. And they said, oh, we really like that. We want to give you money to do it again. But in this case, all of this is my own money, and I'm just using the products that I like, and it's completely unsponsored. So that dead horse has now been sufficiently beat. Let's get started. We're going to start destroying the outside first and working our way inside. To get started, we're going to be doing a baseline sound. So I've got my guitar here. I'm not a very good guitar player, so if you're a great guitar player and you want to give me free lessons, I'd be open to it. I'm going to have my guitar here, play a little bit. We're going to get a baseline sound level inside, and then Veronica's going to step outside and see how much it decreases right outside the door. And then we will do everything we're going to do. And on the very last video, we will again do this same guitar with the same amp at the same settings, inside versus outside. We'll make sure the inside decibels are the same. That way we know we're at the same level. Then we'll step outside and see how much we've decreased the decibels by. So, sound good? All right, let's get started. With your big black boots and an old suitcase. I don't know any of the rest of the words, so that's all I know. Speaking of which, if you want to impress the ladies with the guitar, and I'm sure that's why all of you tune in, is to learn how to impress the ladies. With a guitar or any instrument, here's what you do. You learn one song. You don't learn all the songs. You don't get really good. That's way too much time and effort. You learn one song. You play it pretty decently. I mean, not you don't have to be a virtuoso, but you know, you don't want to look like a hack. You want to learn that one song pretty well. Then somebody at a campfire has a guitar. You sit down and you play. You sing the song. You set the guitar down. Everybody thinks you actually play guitar. And you never touch the instrument again. You got to stick to that rule. Never touch the instrument again. And you're a guitar player. Everybody like, oh yeah, Bobby plays guitar. Remember that bonfire we had on the beach when he picked up the guitar and he played that song? Yeah, he plays guitar. So you get that one for free. All right, so now we're going to start taking apart the exterior of the shed and we'll get the exterior window put in. That's our goal. So you see today outside there's quite a bit of noise with lawnmowers and stuff going, and that's pretty common in a suburb. You're going to have that kind of sound. So that's the main sound that we're trying to keep out of here. And you see here, this is one of the biggest leakers of sound, are these cheap vinyl windows. They just don't seal up and they let tons of sound through. So we're going to be replacing that, and we're going to build an integral window, and we're getting a little bit tricky. Again, this is a shed, so I'm not wanting to spend tons of money, and I needed to be able to do something really fast, so I couldn't send off for custom glass. I couldn't afford to put in a true soundproofing window. So here's what I did. I went out and I bought 2 tempered glass tables, exterior tables. So these are 48-inch tabletops. They're tempered glass, so they're not going to break. They're super thick, so they're super massive. They're not going to shake very much. And then I'm mounting one on my exterior wall, and then I'm going to mount the other one on my interior wall there to completely sound isolate it. The other thing that you can see here is we have this insulation, which is going to burn up some of the sound. It's going to, as the sound waves get trapped in this air cavity, this is going to help absorb some of that sound. But if you see down here, look at this here. This is one of the biggest leakers of sound, second to windows and doors, are your outlets. Because as soon as air enters in through your siding and your exterior and it enters into this cavity, it can jump straight through all of your holes in your outlets and go into your house. Now they make quiet putty that you can seal all of that up. In this case, we're just going to get all of our electrical out of the walls and move it completely onto the inside with plug molds, so we don't have to worry about any type of a path through there. Because again, air leakage is the #1 source of sound. If you don't completely seal this up from having air be able to communicate from the outside to the inside, whatever you do in the walls, I don't care whether you do mass load of vinyl, lead, concrete, doesn't matter. If you have a hole, it's called diffraction. Your sound is going to go through that small hole, propagate through the air molecules there, and then re-emit on the other side. And it's amazing at how small of a hole makes so much sound come through it. So we're going to get all that sealed up. pardon the mess. We've been running fast and loose here to get to this point. But what we've done is we built this frame, the circular frame, out of our Smart Side and 2x4s. We used our glass for our template. So this is 48 inches here, round, and then we'll glue back to this. And then we'll be putting a trim piece over all of this once we are finished. Now, to glue this in, I'm using a Polyguard, which is the parent company of Polywall. This is their commercial. This is this is a detail sealant. So it's sort of like the 2200 from Polywall, but this is their commercial version. The only reason I'm using the commercial version is because it was what was in stock, and we're blowing and going. This stuff is expensive. It's about $20 a tube. So, you know, if you can use something cheaper, go for it. I didn't want to use silicone because I just don't like how long that will last, especially in UV. This stuff's going to outlast the shed. It's way overkill. You don't need to use this. I really recommend like Zip, their fluid applied. If LP ever gets their act together and starts offering fluid applied, that would be great to use with this because you're using like product with like product. But right now, Zip or Prosco or Polywall is great. So here's a sausage gun. I'm sure you've seen these before. What's cool about these is when you're done, all you have is this little bit of foil to throw away. You don't have a big canister. It's much more efficient. Now, you don't have to cut the end off. You don't have to cut this little tip off and make a mess. Just put it in there and go ahead and poke a few holes with your knife, like so. And we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bead around this whole crack here, and then I'm going to put some on the face, and we are going to be putting the window in. So here we go. Now there's no real magic sauce to troweling this on. I just want to make sure that I have enough good adhesive to join the glass, and then I also want to make sure that all of my frame back behind and my siding, there's no holes, because we want to make sure that this is all air sealed. And then I'm also sealing up the edge of this LP Smart Side to make sure that that it's all nice and waterproof as well. The thickness on this fluid applied is fairly straightforward and simple to get right. You just want to make sure that everything is covered. If you can see color back behind it, then you've gone too thin and you need to thicken it up. I'm going to set this up here. Just throw it on it. Okay, tilt it in. So here we are a day and a half later. It's been raining, and since we started this all off with the window, let's go over here and look at the window real quick. We built this, and I'll do a whole other wrap-up video with the window because we're actually doing a room within a room. So this is only one half of the window solution. We built this frame, we glued in a tempered tabletop, and if you want to use cheap glass, going to Facebook Marketplace and buying a tempered tabletop is one of the cheapest options that you'll ever have. However, they are going to be scratched. You will have scratches on tabletops. People just don't take care of them like windows, and they're setting things on them and they're moving stuff around. So they're scratched. If you want a pristine window, go out and buy tempered glass from your glass dealer. That's a perfectly acceptable option. You're going to pay more money. And if you're in coronavirus shutdown, they're probably not open. So we are using what we're using. Again, this is a shed. This isn't a home. This is my shed. I'm not building this for somebody else. So the little scratches on here, I'm okay with. But if it's going to bother you, make sure that you use a better, newer piece of glass than tabletops. But if you're looking to save money, it's a great way of doing it. We are separating these completely. We have an exterior window and the exterior wall. We're going to have 1.5 inch gap between the two walls. We'll have another wall built here and another glass that is completely decoupled from my exterior. So on the inside trim, we'll do a whole nother video about this probably, but the inside trim right now I'm thinking probably using mass loaded vinyl just glued in here to make a nice black round trim for this window. It'll look nice and it'll keep that decoupled. If you did any type of rigid wood or anything, you're going to again transmit sound from the outside to the inside. So sort of a work in progress. This kind of video is new to me when you're shooting video of like, hey, we're not done yet and we're still figuring it out as we go. So if you got great ideas, comment below. We might be done by the time you comment and I see it and then we're able to change anything, but who knows? Comment below, what would you do differently? Below if you're a musician and what musical instrument you play. Comment that below because I know it's all of your dreams to have a home studio, and maybe this is inspiring you to like, hey, I can spend $5 grand and make my shed out back not so annoying for the neighbors. My guess is once we're finished with all of this and I put the guitar back in here with the amp, you're still going to hear it from the outside, but you're going to hear it a lot less. So comment below, what instrument do you play? Like if you like the video, subscribe if we've earned it. Go follow us over at Instagram at Jordan Smith Builds, at Smith House Co. And we'll see you next time on Smith House.